Yo, what's up, my dudes? How we freaking doing? All right, let's go. We are vibing, we're alive, we're surviving, we're doing everything. Happy New Year. So the point of this video, today's video, is going to be deep diving into the world of carving. Now, carving can be an absolute incredible thing, and definitely stick around because I want to give you all the information. Now, hopefully this all goes down as planned. We're gonna bust out the iPad. We got drawing, all sorts of really cool stuff. With that said, in addition, stick around towards the end. We're gonna do a live Q&A. If you have questions, pop them in the chat. Also, if you want to support the channel, support what I'm doing. Also, feel free to dive into the pinned comment on the Chickadee chat. That is going to be a donation link. All donations are extremely appreciated. Helps me do what I'm doing. So let's get into the first bit of it. We've got three different things that we're going to get into when it comes to carving. One, we got to understand the definition. We got to understand why the heck we would ever want to carve. And then we got to be able to understand how to actually carve. So there's going to be the three things that we are going to be discussing today. Now, a couple different things we're going to do is I do have an iPad. We're going to watch videos. We're going to do some drawing and do some other stuff. So definitely stick around because this is going to be an absolute vibe. And anybody that is here in live, I appreciate y'all being here. Dude, there's like a squad up in here. Let's go. Okay, cool. We are vibing. We got a lot going on. I'm really excited about all of this. Philip, what up, dog? Felix, what up, dog? Remy, yo, let's go. Steven, let's go, everybody. I appreciate you guys all vibing and being in here and doing this. So first things first, let's do this. I'm really excited. We're going to try to get a little nerdy. And please, if you judge my drawing skills, I'm going to fight you, okay? Unless you're judging them positively. Grandpa Bob, what up, boss? Let's go. Okay, so we got right here. Jeremy, I need to text you back. I was in the middle of a drive, and yes, let's link up. Let's vibe. Let's grab some food. I was driving to, back from, where was I? Utah? So yeah, let's definitely do that. So let me get this going, get this rolling, and we're going to make some moves here. So first things first is we got to understand the definition. Excuse me. There we go. Hi, doggo. I'm so sorry. I cannot give you any attention right now. We had a good day. We hung out. This is Copper. You can only see his little eyebrows. Hi. We had a good day, but I think he wants to hang out with me. We got stuck in traffic trying to get here. I love you, but come on, you. Oh, I know what he's. I see. Sorry. Homie wants the ball just to go vibe with. Okay, go have fun. Go. You're best dog ever. Okay, sorry about that. So first things first is we got to understand the... He's trying to get me to play fetch. Okay, whoa. Sorry, dude. I got to work, bro. Okay, so first thing is so cute. Okay, first things first is we got to understand the definition. Okay, that's not what we want. Okay, we got to understand the definition of it. So first things first, the definition. Now, when it comes to actually understanding the difference between a skidded carve and, a skidded turn and a normal turn comes down to what we're really trying to accomplish. Now, if we're skidding, okay, if we're doing a skidding carve, essentially we're trying to change directions, which means we're trying to go that way, we're trying to go right, we're trying to go left, we're trying to change directions, okay? But with a skidded turn, we're gonna be able to manage our speed, which really means we can either coast, so we're keeping the same speed, or we're slowing down, okay? Which is gonna be extremely useful for steep terrain, riding moguls, steep moguls, that kind of stuff. I'm trying to think, like being able to make your basic turn, manage your speed, ride moguls, ride steeps, ride trees, okay? That's gonna be like the jam right there, okay? So now when it comes to skidding, the skid path that is left behind is more of, okay, so imagine you have a C-turn, but this C-turn is going to be like a little bit wider and it has all this extra flair to it. So now when you're actually snowboarding, you're gonna see like this path right here on your turn. Okay, cool. And this whole time right here is going to be where we slow down. That's managing our speed. Sounds pretty good? Okay. Now after that, one way to define a skidded turn is understanding, here's our snowboard. That was so beautiful. And when we turn a skidded turn, that this part of our snowboard is gonna go in one direction, and then this other part is gonna go in a different direction. That's what makes this path so wide, is that their nose and the tail of your snowboard. Okay, sorry, I thought I was muted this whole time. That would have been awkward. That the nose and the tail are following different paths the entire time, okay? So now that we got a basis understanding of what a skid turn is, now let's go to, I kind of want to do a little bit of, I don't know, what color do we want? Something gentle in the eyes. I kind of like this one, okay. So now when it comes to a carve, now this is going to be a carve turn. We're trying to accomplish the same thing by being able to move either this direction or this direction. So we're going to be able to change directions, okay? That's pretty useful. But we're going to be able to either gain speed, so we're going to be able to go faster, or we're going to be able to more like coast at the same speed. So we're not necessarily slowing down, we're coasting, okay? So how we are able to do that is that we have our snowboard, beautiful snowboard. This snowboard is going to, okay, let's rephrase this. We got the nose and we got the tail. Okay, they're gonna follow the exact same path. So as we make this turn, I'm still able to make this turn, but because the nose and tail are going down the same path, now we have literally, quite literally, a pencil thin line in the snow, allowing us to create that turn. So now, because we're on the edge of our snowboard, we are minimizing friction. As we minimize friction, we're gonna be able to go faster. We're going to be able to change directions and go faster. Now, a lot of this is going to be dictated on how steep the run is. The steeper the run, the faster we can go. If it's very flat, then technically you're minimizing speed loss, because eventually if it's like flat, you're going to lose speed eventually. You're just minimizing speed loss, which eventually you'll lose it, but that's it. So we got the tail of our board, we got the nose of our board following the exact same path when it comes to carving. We're going to be able to accomplish both a toe side turn and a heel side turn. We're going to be able to change directions. Now, this is going to be a little bit of a nerdy thing I want to dive into very briefly. One is there's a terminology that I just want to get out of the way so we have a better understanding. There's two different styles of turns that we can accomplish. One is called a closed turn. So then we're going to go close. The other one is going to be a open turn. Okay. Now this is important so we can have some communication of what turns we are trying to accomplish. Now a closed turn looks like this. And I'm going to give you a visual example. That is a closed turn. What makes it a closed turn is at the end of the turn, so we're going to call this the end of the turn, it's actually going to go across the fall line. Because I'm really good at what I do, look what we have in the middle. This is actually a fall line. So notice if this turn kept going, it would go across the fall line. Now we're perpendicular to the fall line. Pretty cool, right? So this is a closed turn. Now this becomes super useful when we're trying to manage our speed. When we're doing more of a skidded turn, you tend to close that turn a lot more, but you don't have to. The other style of turn, which is going to be open, is now our C turn never goes across the fall line. So notice if this is the fall line, we're never going to cross this line right here, okay? So if I were to make another C turn, and another turn, and another turn, notice that we're never crossing the fall line. We're always going slightly with it at some capacity. Whereas this turn on the close would actually go here, we'd close again. These style of turns are significantly different in the stabilization, done. Okay, the reason why this is relevant is because open. Okay, so if we're making S turns that look like this versus S turns that look like that, way different. So if I'm trying to go fast, I want to use this turn, okay? But I could still skid this, but notice that in this area I would slow down a little bit, this area I would slow down, this area I would slow down. I could skid that, totally fine. But If I were to carve, I would maximize the speed I would go. Look how much time my board is going down the hill. Holy cow, we're going so fast. Versus this one is that even though I'm on a skid, I'm actually slowing down here, 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 a lot more time across the hill, if not uphill. I'm actually slowing down a significant part. Let's say that I were to carve this closed turn and I were to carve, well, guess what? I could manage my speed of my carve, not through skidding, but through carving. I would actually go here, I would start to accelerate, and then as I go here, I'm gonna start to slow down, and I could even turn uphill a little bit more, start to slow down, and then make my next turn. Does that all make sense? Is that feeling pretty awesome right now? So we have our carved turn, we got our skidded turn, we also have our closed turn, which is going to allow us to literally manage our speed. And I hope I'm not talking too fast. I hope I'm not making this confusing. At the end of the day, and I'm gonna slow down a little bit because that's something I'm practicing, is slowing down because I get so excited. I want to illustrate the fact that even though we're carving or skidding, we could technically like manage our speed both through the tactic of choosing a carve or a skid, but we could also manage our speed through how we use the terrain. Now that is something that a beginner and sometimes a intermediate rider doesn't understand, nor doesn't necessarily utilize the terrain. Choosing the appropriate tactic and choosing the appropriate terrain allows us to do really cool things. So if we were to try to create the most beautiful run we've ever seen. Imagine we're on a slope that like kind of goes down and then goes flat and then goes down, right? So like here, we could do either, we could skid, we could carve. The problem is if we're skidding, here, we lose so much speed because we've increased the friction that this catwalk, this flat spot becomes miserable, okay? But if I were to carve this spot, cool. I would just for the most part, I would utilize all this speed I gained here, right? And then I would just carry that momentum through here, maximize it. Now I can change what I'm gonna do down here. So being able to change the tactic, whether it's skidded or carve, and how we utilize the terrain is gonna be extremely important to be going from like a beginner to an intermediate. So we've discussed a bit at length of why we wanna carve. Carving equals minimize speed loss, okay? Also, we're able to change direction, okay? Pretty cool, right? So now we're gonna be able to carve. Okay, now you may be asking, okay, great, that all makes sense. How do we do it? I would like to go back to the drawing board, but first, we're gonna go just watch a quick little video. Now this video is a guy named Tommy Bennett. He's gonna be performing some snowboard maneuvers, and we're going to watch some carving and... Okay, perfect. I'm actually gonna bring this all the way to the beginning. Okay, now we're gonna see it fast, then we're gonna see it slow. Notice I'm able to change directions, I'm having that pencil thin line, things are looking pretty prime. I'm able to really carve. Now, I am doing a basic carve turn that may feel like a high dynamic movement, but the reason I don't call this a high dynamic movement is because watch, I get on this edge and I simply tilt. I'm just leaning over. I'm not actually doing much range of motion changing. Maybe towards the bottom, I'm gonna be a little bit more aggressive and do a nice little frontside 360. But with that said, I'm gonna scroll back. With that said, a couple things I wanted to point out. One is, okay, here's the carve. This is that tilt I was talking about. Now, by being able to do a basic carve like this is actually not that complicated, nor is it that hard. If you just simply distribute your pressure evenly throughout the board and tilt over, meaning you just imagine you're on a lazy boy. I got my little chair right here, and all I did would be like, hold on, my chair's not, there we go. Okay, ready? Now just lean back. I could theoretically carve my snowboard. It's literally that easy. Now, is there ways to enhance that and go faster, be more dynamic, be a little bit more controlling and aggressive? Absolutely flipping for sure. But just the basic mechanics of what we're doing, we can accomplish some really amazing things by just leaning over once we have the fundamentals. Okay, so I'm gonna play this again just a little bit further. Okay, tilting over. Now, as an asterisk, if it's really icy out or really firm out, this just inclinating over and you just tilting over is gonna cause a problem. And I'm gonna ask you what the problem would be. Imagine it's steep, or sorry, imagine it's flat like this, but it's really icy and you're really leaning over. Okay, as you guessed it, I'm gonna slip out and fall because I'm too tilted, too much angle, and out of balance for how much grip we have on the snow. Meaning, you still gotta be choosing appropriate places and tactics based on the condition, which is something that we need to also consider when we're doing carving. Okay, let's play this a little bit further. How do we know for carving? As you can see here, the trail that I left behind is the same trail that I just talked about. Also, notice that the nose is leading the way and the tail is following the exact same path of the nose. So it's on the same plane, it's on the same exact path. And then as it rides and as it moves, that line and that path continues to happen, which allows us to be on that edge, and we're creating that very pencil thin line, okay? Now we're obviously gonna be able to do that on our heels. Okay, we're gonna go back just a little bit, right? Okay, so we get right here. Now, this right here is more, and I'm transparent, this is more of a scarve in the beginning. I transition edges and the tail actually starts to drift. Well, how do we know that? Look how wide that path I left behind is. Also, another good indication is how much spray is flinging up. There's a little bit more than I would like. So I get a little bit of rotation here, and then I lock it in. Now we're pencil thin, which it's hard to tell with the snow because it is soft, but there's the pencil thin. Then we transition edges, and then it's pencil thin a little. And so, okay, without contradicting myself, the snow conditions is cold, and the snow is very it's very lightweight, so it's gonna fly up. So I might get a lot of snow flinging up, but it's not necessarily because I'm skidding, but because I'm blasting through it, where this one is a little bit more of that skid. And what I would say the difference is where the snow that's flinging off, where is that trajectory? Is it just like getting plowed through and going up, or is it actually getting pushed across? If it's more pushed across, that's the indication of the difference. Watch that snow start to get pushed across because of the scarf. So our goal is to be able to have a definitively clear line. Well, maybe I intentionally did that so that we could see the difference. Maybe not. This is actually filmed like 5 years ago. Principles still apply, of course. So, gonna be able to do that. Now, you're gonna be like, okay, Tommy, how the flip do you, sorry, we're gonna go back here. How the heck do we actually do the carving, and how do we actually do this? Okay, so the goal is to have our snowboard that looks like this, absolutely beautiful. Here's our binding, here's dude. We got some arms, we got a neck, we got dude. Okay, this is dude bro. Dude bro's here. And with that said, if you can have the weight even between the front foot, even on the back foot, and you can definitively be on this edge, that's gonna allow you to be in the carve. Now, how we accomplish that is being in a being in a more stacked position. As we see, I'm trying to get a good angle here. Okay, this angle here is a good representation of the toe side edge. You're gonna notice that the shoulders, and I wish I could draw on this. I actually don't think I can. That is unfortunate. Oh, we could do this though. Should we get really sophisticated? Check this out. We are going to screenshot this. We are going to go here. Oh, it didn't do it. Okay, never mind. Don't worry about it. It didn't work. All good. Okay, so the goal is to make sure that we have our shoulders are in the same plane, our hips are in the same plane, and our feet are all in the same. So what I mean by that is our shoulder is not pointed up here where our hip is pointed here and our board is pointed here. If we have our shoulders pointed a different direction, and I'll show you real quick. If our shoulder is pointed, like I'm snowboarding, if my shoulder is pointed this way, but my hip is pointed towards you and my feet are towards you, this is going to make a really good carve turn, or sorry, skidded turn. This is not a good carve turn because when it comes to doing a carve turn, we're trying to minimize rotation. That comes from this shoulder. So if I were to naturally go here and jump, my body wants to follow. Now look, I'm nice and aligned. So theoretically, when I'm making that carve, whether it's my toe side edge or my heel side edge, I want to make sure that my shoulders are like this and I'm more like in a stacked position to look this way. I'm in a stacked position and I'm not doing this. One good way to know this and a good indication as a instructor I use is the logo. If I'm in a perfectly stacked position, I just turn my head, good. Shoulders, everything's aligned. But what if I do this? Look at the angle of the logo is now different. Because it's different, I have the eye to know that's not the ideal position we want to be in, okay? So going back to our nice little drawing, we want everything to be stacked. Notice that our weight is not to the back. It's not all back here, but rather even between both feet. That's going to be the biggest game changer that you need to know. Keep your weight even between both feet and make sure your body's in a nice solid lined position. It's just going to make carving easier. As an asterisk, can I carve? Can I carve with my shoulder open? If I understand how to use the skill, the snowboard, and the body together, yeah, I could be in some ridiculous body positions while still remain in a carve position because I understand it well enough and experience. So you could get there eventually. For now, just think about, okay, I want to be in a nice stacked position. If you could do that like 100 times without even worrying about it, then I would suggest you start exploring how much can I get away with without losing grip. That's a whole nother story. That's definitely going to be more of an advanced thing, but just know that you may see me like, oh, Tom, you're doing an advanced tutorial and your shoulders are not the right position. Yes, because I understand how to carve and I have that creative freedom based on that information. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Does that make sense? So we got our beautiful drawing here. Keep your weight even, both toe side, heel side. This is going to be going to help a lot, okay? A couple things that are going to possibly make this a little bit easier. We're gonna go back to this. We got a nice little snowboard. We got our bindings. We got our dude. Okay. Couple things I like to think about on the heel side carve, okay, is when I'm in this position, I'm thinking about applying pressure to the back of my boots and the back of my calves equally. So I'm leaning back and pressuring back. In addition, if you want to have a little bit more control of how much more tilt we have, I can actually lift up my toes to the top of the boots. But make sure you're lifting up your toes to the top of the boots equally, okay? Equally. That's gonna be pretty significant. Now, when it comes to our toe side, I mostly, like imagine this is my little kneecaps. I mostly think about pressing my knees. So I'm just gonna use this as like my knee. So my knee is going to be pressing over my toe. Essentially, I'm pressing my shins to the front of the boots equally to the front of the boots. So I'm pressing in just like that. I don't know if you were able to see that. I'm pressing my shin to the front of my boots like this equally. Pretty cool, right? Okay, now that's just like our basic body position. Now, real quick, I wanted to go through 4 steps on how to accomplish this when you practice it, okay? We're gonna go through 4 steps. 4 steps. But I feel like changing this color because because I want to. Something where you can still see it, right? Okay, so we got 4 steps. Okay, step number 1, and I'm gonna draw some pictures. Step number 1 is just standing. So just find the side of the run. Here's the run. Find a place where you can like literally practice like the body positions. And you're just going to sit there and just feel the shins press forward. Just feel that on your toe side. So face uphill, feel the shins, and you're trying to balance on that toe side edge for a total of like 5-10 seconds. And then do that on your heel side. Okay, so that's like step number 1 is just kinesthetically feel that. Number 2 is just imagine you have like a run. Now, number 2 is I actually want to do this thing called a traverse. Now, I'm trying to go from one side and I'm going to use a little bit of the slope to gain a little bit of speed. And then my goal is to try to go across the hill. If not, trying to go back up the hill just a little bit. Now, what I'm looking for you to do is on your toe side edge is press your shins against the front of the boots and allow this definitive line to happen. What may end up happening is you might get a little bit of a skid here and then find it again. And then you might get a little skid and then find it. The very first time, just go across the hill and just try to like do what I'm doing. Like try to find that carve, find that balance position. Try to feel your weight leaning over, feel your shins leaning forward or pressing forward. And then you're trying to minimize the times that you're doing this, which is our skid. Ideally, you're trying to make a pencil thin line. One asterisk here. What's great about toe side is you get to look uphill and see if anybody's coming down. If anybody's coming down, manage your speed, avoid, or just make sure you go when it's clear. Now on our heel side, no, I thought I made that like tiny. Okay, what am I doing here? Okay, on our heel side, we're gonna start on this side and we're gonna try to do the same thing, pick up a little bit of speed, go across. If I need to go up, that's sick, and I'm gonna do that. Because you're on your blind side, you definitely have to look up because you wanna make sure that people aren't coming down and you're getting absolutely smoked, so please be aware of that. Now, I suggest that you do the toe side, heel side, like 10 to 20 times, okay? 10 to 20 times, feel the heel side, feel the toe side, feel the heel side, feel the toe side. Be aware if people don't get wrecked, okay? That's gonna be like that. That's what I would suggest you do, okay? Then, so we got 1, right? Step 1 is to feel it. Step 2 is to traverse, okay? Step 3 is to, I like this as a J turn. Now, when you're doing this with the traversing, it doesn't really matter how steep the terrain is as long as you're in a place that's safe. Okay, now when it comes to a J turn, I want to make sure that you're in a safe place. So we're going to start with our board facing across the hill. Then we're going to allow our board to smooth down the hill, and I'm going to hold this down for like maybe 1 second, 2 seconds, 3, maybe 4. That is going to depend on how steep the run is. If it's really steep, I'm only going to a 1 second. If it's a green run, a lot flatter, I might go to a 3 or 4 because I want to be able to give myself time to mentally process, what do I need to do? Okay, so I might hold it for 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 4. Okay, after that, I'm choosing, well, before you even leave here, you should know if you're going toe side or heel side. I suggest toe side. That's just me. Now I'm gonna make that toe side carve. And then guess what? I'm just gonna lean into the turn, find the position from step number 1, trust the step number 2, and I'm just applying it into step number 3. So here, I'm feeling it. Here, oh, this is now a traverse. Okay, now I'm gonna go like this. And then I'm gonna shape back uphill. Hey, look, we now have a J turn. Okay, that I would love you to do both on your, call this toe side, this on your heel side. Okay, so now you're gonna go down and just engage the carve and allow that edge to happen. And then go down and engage and allow that carve to happen. So now we're doing that on both heel side, toe side, okay? So that's step number 3. As long as we don't erase everything, we're going to go to step number 4, right here, equals, kind of, we're gonna do like we're just gonna call it like just call it a link turn. Okay. So this time we're gonna start off in this top of the J. We're gonna point our board downhill, and then we're gonna go here. Instead of going up, we're actually going to go across, and then we're gonna transition to the next edge. Then we're gonna go across. Instead of going up, we're gonna go here, then we're gonna go to the next edge. If this is a mellow green run, this is going to be very doable, very manageable. This might be 3 or 4 cat widths wide. So you're actually gonna go across the hill, manage your speed, go to the next edge, manage your speed. But in theory, if we've already done step number 1, we should know what it feels like. Step number 2, we've done this like 10 to 20 times. Step number 3, I've done this 10 to 20 times. And by the time we get to 4, it should be a natural evolution of linking these turns, okay? One other thing that you could do instead of like the way this turn is, you could find a catwalk. So imagine you had a road like a catwalk, and this does represent downhill, but imagine this is like the flattest thing you've ever seen. Now, and we're gonna look at it this point of view so you can see it. Now, imagine you just went on your toe edge for like a really long flat run. Well, hey, you're on your toe edge. Now you went to heel edge, then you went to toe edge, then you went to heel edge. Look how mellow this turn could be. And that is our open turn we learned about earlier. So now we can do these open turns on a catwalk where we just simply go, oh, I'm gonna little on my heels gently. Excuse me, a little on our heels gently, a little bit on our toes gently. Does that all make sense? Any questions, comments, concerns? Is there anything that just absolutely doesn't make sense? I am going to pop over here in the chat and see where we're at. And then I got one more thing we're gonna do, but ask your questions away because I'm having a great time. Okay, so let's see. Driving back from drawing classes, I hope. Let's go, Jeremy. Copper has things to say about carving too. Copper's my doggo. Let's see what else. Got any questions? Tommy, you're a legend. I learned so much from your videos along with the live streams. It's super helpful when I've been off snow for some time. Let's go, Bree. Let's go. We love to hear it. Okay, great topic. I have to disagree with shoulder position. However, remaining closed shoulder in all lines with the board is a single biggest killer to heel edge grip and angulation for various reasons. Ooh, I love that, dude. Let's go. So I like to think about this as a super simple beginner heel side turn. So if we're aligned on the heel side edge, I totally get what you're saying, and I definitely think that you have something for sure. But as a beginner, and that the topic of this is beginning, so we want to make sure we're on topic. As a beginner, their biggest problem, anywhere from like a level 1, which is, so let's call it level 3 to a level 5, their biggest problem, and if you know snowboarding, you've been an instructor, you can't disagree with this. The biggest problem that people have is they're in a body position that's not actually advantageous to helping them. So if we just keep it simple as a simple cue to get people to understand this concept, being here on a heel side carve is easy. Should I be here? Well, they're gonna take that in the wrong way, and people are gonna have a lead shoulder open, which is gonna cause a lot of tension in the hip and cause them to pivot. Could I be in this position? Yes, I've already addressed that. Could I, is this. Now I'm not saying your heel side is closed, I'm saying stacked position, because if I'm in a closed position going heel side, that doesn't make sense. I want you to be in a stacked position. There's a significant difference here. Closed and stacked are not the same thing. A closed shoulder would be here. But if my shoulder's going this way and I'm trying to go that way, that does not make sense. So I want to be in a stacked position. Here, this totally makes sense. Now go this way. Now lean more, lean more, lean more. That's a carve turn, 100%. So that's what I would say about that comment, which I appreciate the thoughts and the vibes, but understanding the definition of what we're talking about. Closed shoulder? No. Stacked shoulder? Yes. Yes. I think the difference in the correct shoulder position is if the snowboarder has a duck twin or a posi. I definitely agree with that. That's a good point. I definitely agree with that. I'm should have definitely said I'm talking about like a non-posi rider, which, let's be honest, a posi rider is such a small percentage that if I'm generally speaking to most people who are on my channel, they're not posi. For sure. Barack, what up, dog? How we doing? Scott would love some tips on how to carve on mellow slopes when you don't have a lot of speeds. Is it more knees and hips? I would say, Scott, it goes back to that drawing I had here with just inclinating over gently, doing a basic introduction to turns, right? I would say that is a good way to do it on flat and mellow terrain. If that makes sense. And then, yeah, so then, what else are we talking about? All right, so, car wreck, what up, dog? Yes, I will be saving this video and posting it as a live stream. I may crop it, change it, and put it as a video, but most likely not. I'll probably just keep it as a live stream. But sometimes live streams pop off. So, yep, that's going to be that. Cool. Is everybody feeling pretty good about this topic? I wanted to dive into like one more thing. I wanted to watch a video that I created. Okay, I wanted to watch this video, and it is a little long, so we're not gonna watch the full thing, but I wanted to just like nitpick this video that I made, talk about it, discuss it, and see if there's like anything I can add to it now that we have time to like break stuff down and look at stuff a little bit differently. So if you guys got any more questions, topics, I would love to just make sure that we fully understand this topic. And if you have any like questions, like I don't agree, I disagree, totally, let's jump into it. I love this kind of thing because it's like a pretty fun discussion for sure. I love it, I love it, I love it. So we're gonna dive into a quick little video right now, just breaking down some stuff. So let me switch cameras. Okay, let me just make this just, oh, there we go. Yeah. Okay, let's just make sure we have audio.
Today, I'm gonna teach you how to carve your snowboard in 5 easy steps, but use the chapter markers down below to skip to a section that may be more useful to you.
As a side note, this video is posted. Type in Tommy Bennett carving. You'll be able to find it. This video you can refer back to. This one's a good one.
At stake if you don't learn how to carve? Well, number one, if you keep skidding, guess what? You're gonna keep sliding off the side of the mountain. Number two, you're not gonna be able to have enough speed to go up flat spots, and you're gonna keep getting stuck, which is not that fun. And number three is you're gonna be stuck at that beginner stages of being a snowboarder, and we all want to progress. And here's a fun fact: the better you are, the more fun you get to have. So I highly recommend.
That is true. The better you are at snowboarding, literally the more fun you're gonna have. I 100% agree with that.
You learn how to carve. But before we get into the 5 steps, first we got to discuss what a carve turn is. Essentially,
we're just gonna kind of go through this a little bit quick. I want to see the stuff, but we've already defined a lot of this, so I don't want to spend a lot of time.
That you would first learn is called the skid turn. Super useful, but the carve turn is going to be your more advanced / next level style of turn. And that carve turn essentially is you're being able to slice the snow right behind you just like this. The cool part about a carve turn is that you're able to change directions, meaning I can go left, I can go right, while picking up speed or minimizing the speed loss. And one way to really know if you are doing a skidded turn versus carve turn is just the path that you leave behind. Skidded turn, nice wide path. Carve turn, pencil thin slice as you see there. Now,
pretty sick, right? Pretty cool. So let's just dive into the camera that I'm using. Insta360, link in bio, sponsor of mine. Big shout out to them.
I made a mistake and I accidentally turned off the microphone, so we're going to do a nice little voiceover. But step number 1, we're going to become familiar with carving in a static position. But the best.
Okay, let's just look at the body position. Now, I broke this into like 2 different ways, is like for you to understand how to kinesthetically feel this body position. So as we're here, I'm just feeling what it's like to slice the snow, and being able to be on the side of the run, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, allows me to just process this. Again, choose a select good area. So
now, when we turn the board.
Now, when the board's flat, you're gonna get more skidded. When you're on more of an edge, it's not. So now we're gonna go to heel side, same thing applies. I'm kinesthetically becoming aware of my heel side edge. Now, if you wanna watch the full video, link will be Tommy Bennett carving. It's the most recent video that I put out for carving. carving, that's gonna be that. Now, where I actually wanna practice this is by getting in a solid position that is like in this. Now, I'm a little turned at this angle for now, but okay. So demonstrating, I want both weight on both feet as well as pressing both shins against the front of the boot. That's gonna allow me to have that best balanced position on that. Now notice that I'm in a nice, pretty stacked athletic position. Another thing to note is that I have my shins sort of the front of the boots. I have my hips open and my shoulders, and that logo is what we were talking about. And then theoretically, all I gotta do is change where my head is, and then I'm gonna point that either in the goofy direction or regular direction, and that's a pretty solid position right there. So just like some visual aids of that, here's like, now what you do not want to do is this. So we're gonna just go back here a little bit. So shins forward, pretty balanced position. One thing to note is I'm in a pretty balanced position here. If I were to be moving, I can get more inclination because I have momentum that's gonna carry me just like a bicycle, right? If I have momentum, it's gonna be a lot easier. So if I have momentum, it's easy. In this position, I have no momentum, so hips forward. But also, we do not want to do this. Well, I should have been more dramatic, but the goal is to not have my butt all the way back, but rather my hips forward for this example. Now, this is just like understanding the basic turns, and then we're gonna practice our heel side edge, being in this position. Now, I like this body position, so the lead shoulder is in a stacked position. Maybe it's like a couple degrees open, which ideally, cool, we can get away with, but ideally we have our shoulder pointing in the same direction as our board, pretty darn close, and then I have that weight even. What I don't want to do is be in this position, and I do this because I'm talking to the camera. This is not the ideal position. We are now taking a break from the ideal position, but this position is what would more traditionally cause you to skid a turn versus carving a turn, okay? Okay, now moving on from there, we are going to do this. Now, I did all the editing myself. I'm not overly proud of it, but I thought it was pretty decent. A little like, oh, look at that little zoom in. Oh, we're gonna little arrow, how cute. So if you notice in the background how flat this run is, but also how wide it is. When we were doing the pictures, notice that in the pictures I was talking about having a wide run. This is like a beautiful run. I'm here at Keystone Family Trail. Breckenridge also has some trails that are like pretty friendly. Now, here's something that is kind of interesting that you could totally utilize. If you see this run right here, if I take a step back, sorry. If I take a step back, notice that this is actually a glorified traverse. I'm going on theoretically from like one side of the mountain to the other, but it happens to be in flow with the direction I want to go. So actually this gives me the opportunity to cut across the hill and practice on that step we saw in the drawing, which was skidded turn. Okay, we don't want that, but we now know aware of it. Now we're gonna go into a carve turn. Notice this body position, more of a carve turn position, even though I'm talking to the camera, and that's a skid, this is a carve, 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 stacked, and traverse. So because I have a turn, I can utilize that turn to do that skidded, to do that carve, okay? Now that the run has gone more downhill, I am now cutting across the hill. I'm no longer parallel with it, more perpendicular. Practice that slice. Cool. Another thing to do is that traverse, which I am now parked on the side of the run, and I'm gonna go across to the other side of the run. Notice that I'm looking uphill, making sure no one's coming. I can get that little bit of speed we talked about earlier. Then I wanna lock that edge in, lock that edge in, lock that edge in. Shoulder position, hips forward, everything we already practiced. Shins forward, hips forward, shins forward, leaning up. Then I can break that edge. And what I mean by breaking the edge is that I can pivot the board to get in the skid. So I'm breaking that edge into a skidded turn. I'm also slowing down in that section here, but also turning uphill, which is also both tactics on ways to manage my speed. Great. Now I'm gonna do the same thing. You have the option of doing it switch. If you're looking for a challenge, I personally am comfortable going switch. I also wanted to give the demonstration for all of our goofy and regular riders, but I'm gonna face uphill. It looks pretty clear, no one's there. Get that toe side in. Now I'm going, for me, actually this is regular, but you could consider the switch. I'm going back the other way. Cool. Then we're gonna go to our heel side carve, which we are doing heel side, that shoulder, not awesome. not awesome. I'm talking about that, like not a good body position. And that's causing the pivot. Now, I am going switch here, but I'm lifting up my toes. I'm slicing the edge, slice, slice, slice. Check behind me to make sure I'm not getting in a dangerous position, and I'm able to carve, and I'm able to look behind me. Of course, if you're feeling pretty good, do switch. I was pretty uncomfortable in this run because it ended up getting a lot more busy, a lot more crazy, so I opted out to doing a lot of clips, so I ended up just filming or editing the same clip over and over and over. Here's that bonus drill, other tactic when we talked about doing an open turn. I am on a relatively decent catwalk. This might be a little bit too steep for most people just to be comfortable with, but you do have the option to point your board down the hill. And then notice, stacked position, carve, basic turn, stacked position on that heel side, stacked position. I kind of got a little scared, a little slow down, stacked position, toes, lift up my toes here, press my shins forward here. Boom. Notice that I'm just making these nice traverse. Oh no, that dude just went down. Notice that I'm just making these nice, gentle carves. This is a great way to work on your carve, and if I need to break the edge, I break the edge. If I need to get back into a carve, I get back into the carve. So this is an extremely useful tactic on how to learn carving, especially on flat areas, and using the tactic of carving on flat areas is gonna help you maintain your speed. Before moving on, make sure you're feeling pretty comfortable because that's pretty important. Make sure you like practice a whole bunch. I think I needed a chapter marker in here somewhere. So now we're talking about linking turns together. I want to be able to do, I think we're actually talking about J turn. I'm going to point the board down the hill. I'm going to lean in, lean in, lean in. If I increase that tilt, increase leaning uphill, then I'm going to make a sharper turn. If I'm just consistent, then I'll have a consistent turn. So I want to be able to practice both like that J turn, both on my heel side, toe side. I'm actually in the beginner area, so it's super mellow. A lot of people around me don't know how to stop, so I'll just watch out for them. But overall, what's cool about this is I don't have to worry about people going 100 miles an hour by me because that's pretty scary. Okay, now we're going to talk about that. Again, if you want to watch this full video in full detail, check out Tommy Bennett carving most recent video. A lot of yap in there. Now we're going to be able, so we're talking about our little drawing. Cute. So now we're going to be doing an S turn. So we're no longer doing that J turn. We're going to try to link these up into more of an S turn. But the way we're doing it is we're going to get on an edge here in a second. So we're getting on an edge, getting on an edge, edge. Instead of going uphill so much, I'm going to just go transition and lean to the next edge, lean to the next edge. If you're struggling with going from edge to edge, keep your body position in a stacked position and then think about rising a little bit, unweighting the snowboard, and then leaning and going to the next edge. As a note, I'm gonna go from this one. This one may be a little bit better view. If you are in this position as you go from a edge change, which that edge change would be I'm on my heel, now I'm changing edges, you do have to go flat base. You could jump, you could unweight the snowboard, but you're gonna transition from flat base. Now, the only way to skid that turn is if your shoulder is in a really open position, which we've discussed at length throughout this masterclass. With that said, notice that there is a flat spot right here on my board, but that is okay because I'm gonna go from my heel side to my toe side, and I'm just in a nice stacked position. I may rise and I may transition to that other edge, but I'm going from one edge to the other, and I will go flat base. That's okay. Allow your edge to go flat and then go over. You're gonna notice that I actually paused for a second. I'm like up, pause, and I was a little hesitant, a little nervous to go to the next edge as a demonstration that I don't have to be super aggressive. I'm literally going up, I'm gonna go flat, I'm gonna trust it, and then I'm gonna lean into the next turn. I'm gonna go toe side, toe side, toe side. Notice that I'm running out of space. I'm gonna flat base, go to the next edge, go to the next edge. Now my terrain got really narrow. People around, I slow down because I am not trying to crash into anyone, and we're being able to link our turns. So does that all make sense? So that was just like a nice, really quick rundown visually of the steps that we talked about. Step 1, feel it. Step 2, traverse, going across the hill. Step 3, J turn, which is down and turn. And then step 4 is going to be linking our turns together. Does that all make sense? Does that all make sense? Cool. Because at the end of the day, I'm doing this for you all. So let me know if that makes sense. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, chickadee chat, pop in the chat right now if you guys got questions about that, because I definitely want to answer as many questions as possible. Also, what do you like? Do you like this style of video? Do you like me busting out the iPad? Do you like me rewatching videos? My goal is to make the ultimate experience for you guys jumping into the live streams. So give me some input and let's freaking go. So let's spend the next couple of minutes answering some questions. We're gonna go through chat. If you have a question, pop them in, and then I'm gonna hop off. I have some stuff to do for BENETEK, which is my goggle outerwear company. Big shout, BENETEK. So I'm not gonna stay long. So get your questions in as much as you can while I'm here. Also, any donations are appreciated, but not mandatory. Love you all for being here, and definitely, as YouTubers, you know, we gotta say, like and subscribe and share this with a friend. And comment below, something like that. Cool. Adam, I think JAR is thinking more in terms of advanced carving when separating upper and lower body and the fore-aft pressure becoming more important. This discussion is more intro level. I agree with that, Adam, and that's where I wanted to clarify. This is how do we break down carving in a most simple way? And feel free to go back into this. I just spent the last 45 minutes literally breaking down how to carve. Carving is definitely something that's super awesome, but really misinterpreted and really people really struggle with. So I want to break it down in the most basic way possible, because at the end of the day, like, I want people to become better at snowboarding. In return, hopefully I'll win in the end. Okay, with that said, we also got Jeremy. What are some of your favorite trick carving setups for you, and at what part of the turn do you like to throw them? Ooh, that's interesting. So for me personally, I'm like an absolute spaz when it comes to snowboarding, because I just like whatever feels good, and I try to put myself in a pretty neutral position. So let me try to draw this out for us real quick, just so we have some like references. We're gonna get rid of my beautiful artwork. Okay, now I'm an incredible artist, but I want to try to do my best. So if this is like person, body, then we have their like, this is like their arms, and then their feet, and then their snowboards like this way. Okay, we're looking at it like this. Okay, because I'm such a good artist. My hands are in the really weird spot. Okay, so when you're in this position, our arms are like here. Okay, when I'm in this position, I love to be as neutral as possible, allowing the snowboard to be underneath me. And then the more that I can get my board to move underneath me here or here, the more I'm gonna be able to, and I'm gonna show you a visual example in here in a second, so don't leave, but if I'm able to get my board to move underneath me, it's gonna be such a better thing. So if I'm in a better balance position, all of a sudden those tricks can be doing anything. One of my favorite tricks is probably doing like a toe side carve, knee touching the ground, and then doing a 360 out. That is probably one of my favorite. And if I can get back to landing on my toe side carve and then making another turn, that's probably one of my favorite. Flat ground 360s is also a really good one. So as we go over here real quick, I'm gonna pop this over here. So recently on my channel, I made a video. Let's see, let's go this way. I made a video about carving versus skid. That's probably the one that I'm looking for, to be honest. Okay. If you haven't seen this video, this is such a good video. You gotta watch it, by the way. Okay. Okay, so let's see. Here's this. I'm looking for something specific here. Maybe it's this. Okay. What I want you to look for in this position is that my shoulders in a relatively neutral position and my legs are doing a lot of work underneath me. This is going to allow me to be in a way better balanced body position more often than not, allowing me to have more opportunities, Jeremy, for trickery. Okay, so watch. I think we get into a better angle. So watch these turns. Okay, these are not the turns I was hoping. Is it up here? Sorry, I'm gonna try to find this the best. I spent so long editing this video. Yeah, this is okay. This is okay. So just notice that as I'm in this, I'm in a neutral position. Notice that my board is now out from underneath me, but my belly button is in a balanced position. I'm not super tilted over. And then I go heel side. Notice that my legs are working underneath me. That's gonna allow me to be in like a more balanced body position more often. Now, as we do this, check this out. Now I'm in a better balanced position. Dude's vibing, riding. All of a sudden, front three, lock it in. Hi, you wanna say hello to the people? Hello to the people. Come here. Come on. This is Copper. He's our official snowboard dog of BENETEK, and he's awesome. But Does that make sense, everyone? He's. Are you nervous? Everyone's watching you. Oh, he's camera shy. So does that make sense? And then so that's what I would do. Those are a couple of the answers to my question right there. iPad is great. Also, will you be doing another video live on deep diving on such as like snow touch carving? Oh, interesting. I haven't really thought about doing any of the advanced stuff for carving, but that's definitely not a bad idea. That could be really cool too. Oh, interesting. I love this. This is a great question. So we're going to go back to the browser. Okay, I love this one. Hey, buddy. What's up, dog? What's your problem? Go get it. He's trying to find his ball. Go get it. Yo, dog, chill. I know, people. I know. I love you. Shh. Okay. All right. So the next question that we have here, dude, I love you. He's a good dog. Let's see. The question was, get hooked outdoors. How does the board profile play into carving? And that's why I wanted to jump on this here. Okay. So when it comes to, let's just call like our three major board profiles for now. One is going to be dramatic drawing. Is going to be like our board has a bit of camber in it. Okay. That's going to be camber. Next is going to be flat. And then next one is going to be reverse camber. That was a beautiful drawing. Let's try that one more time. It's going to be like reverse camber. So one thing that's absolutely beautiful about the camber, and just so we all have definitions of this, right? Camber, flat, and reverse. We're not going to talk about hybrids right now, but when you get in a carving situation on a camber board, and this is my ideal carving / my ideal board at all times for me, is that when you stand on your snowboard, you're going to apply pressure to the center of the board, what ends up making it pretty flat. But the intention of the board is to hold its integrity, which means it actually wants to go here. So now imagine we have a camber snowboard, and now when we're trying to make a turn, that camber snowboard wants to be in this position, but because we're carving, it's actually going to get in this position because we're flexing the snowboard, right? So if I'm making this board is now in a reverse camber position, but the integrity of the board gives it more grip. So for example, as instead of my board being like this, it's like this, but it's fighting to go like this. So as you're making those turns, it's gripping, 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 and at the end of the turn, you could release that pressure, which is super fun, and I haven't done much videos on, but I definitely could. And then we're like, it's gripping the snow because it's fighting to hold that. It's fighting, 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 and then you can go to the next turn. In addition, when we put so much pressure, it's supposed to be camber, when we put so much pressure into this board, now we have a lot more rigidity in both the front of the board and the back of the board, which is giving us more stability. Okay. Now, when we go back to like when you go back to a flat board, essentially you don't get that same rigidity, or you don't have that integrity. You don't have that board that's giving you as much response. Can you carve? Absolutely, you can carve. But you may find that it's a little bit softer in the tail, a little softer in the nose, or it just doesn't hold an aggressive edge as easy. Okay, but definitely an option. A lot of people like flat boards for mostly rails because it's easier to press the nose and the tail because it's not in that camber position. As we go into reverse camber, here's our C-turn. Here's our reverse camber board. That's a terrible reverse camber board. Imagine. Wow. There we go. Imagine now that you have a board that is already like this, and then you apply more pressure, it's going to want to come back to just this position. So it's not actually fighting to come back to the same camber profile. It will fight, but not as much because it's not making a significant bend of the snowboard, which creates pressure and you want to release it. So when we have a board that's already like this, you could still absolutely carve a snowboard. But you're gonna notice as you start going faster through your snowboard that this part of the turn will build a lot of pressure and your board will have a harder time trying to manage the pressure, especially as you start getting into this part of the board or even this part of this turn. You get into these sections of the turn, there's so much pressure that board is not fighting as well and it's gonna have a harder time, which because you also gotta take into consideration that the center of this board now has a center pivot point. So let's just kind of exaggerate this a little bit. Imagine your snowboard looks more like, has like this, when now it has a center pivot point. So then it's gonna be really easy for this center to wanna rotate because this is in the air and this is in the air. Obviously, as you stand on it, this is gonna be down, this is gonna be down, so it will flatten out, but it's not gonna hold the same rigidity in that, if that makes sense. So I'm a massive fan that having a camber board is for me because I love to ride fast, I love to carve, I love to hit big jumps, okay? And now when we're hitting big jumps, I actually need to do this and I need to do this. I also am okay at rails. I also like to do tricks and it's gonna allow me, when I'm doing tricks, I want to be able to take off on a carve and land on a carve. So because I like to do these things mostly, I'm utilizing that board to benefit me for both these outcomes, if that makes sense. Is everybody following along? Is this feeling pretty good? You guys like the iPad and my absolutely beautiful handwriting? Okay, so Adam says, I would love to see similar video breakdowns on carving on advanced terrain. Yeah, and so like, let's just like talk about that real quick. Imagine you had like, oh, that is beautiful. Imagine we had a, and this is actually going to be like a black diamond run. Oh, that was not it. Well, imagine we had a massive black diamond run. Oh, I thought that was black. That's not gonna work. I don't know how to do this, okay? Okay, whatever. This is a black diamond run. We all know this is a black diamond run. And the run is like really steep. And we're gonna make this to scale. Here's a little dude bro. Okay. Now, because this is so steep that I will actually point my board downhill and I'm gonna go fast almost immediately. Now, I'm gonna try to get on the carve and I'm trying to lean in and tilt my board as much as possible, but because I am going fast, that turn is gonna be a little bit longer. And then I'm actually gonna try to turn back uphill, back uphill, back uphill, and then try to do the same thing again. And then my run would look like this as I go down the mountain. As long as I'm not getting smoked by people going down, because I just literally went like 500 feet edge to edge. So there's definitely something that we could do for that for sure. Okay, so it sounds like some people want some more breakdowns of some more like iPad stuff, which could be super cool, super interesting. I like rewatching the videos and explaining it again. Lena, let's go. Love the breakdowns. Frankie, have you ever thought about coming down here to Lee Canyons? Dude, I really wanted to. I've never made it. Remy, what up, dog? What I like to do is increase edge hold in the middle of the turn to open my knee and spread the load, causing the edge to work. Additionally, from mid-turn to exit, I press harder on the back foot against the high back, almost straightening my leg, sometimes even completely straight. And that is definitely something to do as you become like a skilled carve person, because that's something I definitely want to talk about at some point, is more advanced stuff. At some point for sure. Fred Stone says, carving uphill is still pretty technical. 100%, right? And as you get into that black diamond, oh man, I am black diamond runs, these are going to be challenging. If you're a beginner, you won't be doing turns on this, right? That would be pretty rough. But that is a great way to hold the carve. Now, when I was doing instructor certification, we would have to do that. We would have to make a full-on carve turns type thing. Obviously, it looked like way more better than that. But on like a black diamond run, going fast, we would literally have to do this as much as possible, right? Because, or that was like part of the task. We'd have to do that. And at any point we like skidded our turn, then we would have this ginormous, for dramatic purposes, we would fail. If we skidded at all, right there, we would fail, 100%. Oh, but yeah, very technical for sure. Absolutely technical. Do you have any tips on why I'm catching an edge so much on my turns and how I can prevent myself from catching the edge so much? Yes, let's dive into this real quick and then I'm gonna get going because I got a little bit of work to do. I have like 3 full-time jobs that need a, more like a full-time job and 2 part-time jobs that all need full-time jobs. So if you do this real quick, just type this in real quick, you can, what's up, doggo? You might be able to do this. So if you just type in like Tommy Bennett, Bennett, and then like Tommy Bennett mistakes. This one right here is a really good video. We're not gonna watch it right now, but this video, we should do it. We should watch this video at some point because this is like a really good one. So what we're talking about is the lead shoulder being open. Now, the problem is, and we were talking about this when you are in a skidded position and your lead shoulder is pointed that way, as a snowboarder, to help you understand how to not catch edges and have a better time, wherever my lead shoulder is, my lower body wants to follow. Now imagine I'm trying to go straight down a catwalk, flat run, whatever, and I'm trying to go towards you and you at home or wherever you are. You're probably at your office. I don't know. So I'm trying to go towards you. And my shoulder's over here. Where does my board want to go? My board's going over here. But my body position or my balance is more even. And then as my board's even, I'm going to turn and catch an edge because my shoulder was in the wrong position. If I want my shoulder to point in the direction I want to go. So if I want to go straight, guess what? I'm going to point my shoulder where I want to go. If I want to go this way, I'll point my shoulder there. Now it's more, I highly recommend that you learn how to knee steer, which is by far the best way to turn a snowboard in my opinion. But as a general rule of thumb, if my shoulder's pointed here, the lower body wants to go, and that's why you're catching an edge. Especially skidding, especially as a beginner, that's going to be the biggest thing. So you want your shoulder to point in the direction you're going, which is going to absolutely help a significant amount. Does that make sense, my dudes? Okay, cool. Well, I feel like we've absolutely deep dived into this. Now, I'm going to let this video be live forever. So if you guys want to come back and watch this again, cool. If you want other resources, type in Tommy Bennett stance, Tommy Bennett carving, Tommy Bennett switch, anything that you're looking for. I've most likely made a video, and if I haven't, I need to know. But I've pretty much made a video on a lot of stuff, and unfortunately sometimes there's almost like a lot of the same topic. But regardless, there's gonna be a lot of resources. Tommy Bennett search term, keyword term right there. One other thing that you can do that is unknown to some is if you go over here to the search bar and all you type in is jump, just a single word. The best thing about this is YouTube will only search my channel. Here is how to jump, beginner jumping tricks, shorts, 5 mistakes when jumping, how to build a jump, beginner tricks, 180s, 360s, ollies, pops, advanced tricks, blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden you've gotten a massive library of my keyword that I've done. Obviously you can use this for anything. So either way, Tommy Bennett carve, Tommy Bennett this, Tommy Bennett that, or just type in the word here. Boom, here's carve, here's this, here's a masterclass, here's how to carve, how to make carving a 5 beginner tips. Whoa. How to carve a snowboard, 5 tips for beginners. Cool, boom. That one did pretty good. I just want to see the video. How to carve for a beginner, that was like 9 days ago. Beginner, teaching a beginner, difference between skidded, carving, park, Insta360, beginner tips to go beyond. This one's a good one too. The video's done. Last year my views were down a lot. This year my views are pretty decent, but I think it's because I'm choosing like better topics. I haven't made that many videos this year. I've been doing some other stuff. Cool. Well, on that note, dudes, my dudes, I appreciate, love you all. Thanks for joining. Join me next week for another live stream. I'm not sure if we're gonna, I don't know what we're gonna do. We're gonna do a topic, but definitely put your post notifications on, and then we will bust out the iPad if you have questions, comments, concerns. My goal is to help you as much as possible. Also, if you're interested in buying some gear, we have jackets, tech, hoodies. We have all goggles, neck tubes, warmers, all gonna be linked down below. BENETEK, grab your gear. And you guys are amazing. I appreciate you. I'm gonna end that there. And I'm going to go to my next job. Awesome. Love y'all. Bye.